Hi everybody, this is Tim Milloway giving you another great After Effects tutorial. In this tutorial we are going to kind of learn some of the basics of layering and keyframing. And we're just going to have a simple example here of a wagon going down a hill on a street, and in this tutorial we can demonstrate some of the basics of layering and keyframing for animation. So let's get started. First, let's preview what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. It's a simple animation. So let's begin. So let's start off by making a new composition, and we're going to make this composition 6 seconds because that's what my sound file is, and we could make it 1920 by 1080. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is make a new solid, and we do this by going Layer, New, Solid, and we're going to make sure that we make it comp size, and it's square pixels, and it doesn't matter what the color is, but if you wanted to change the color, you just click on this and you can change the color and hit OK. So there we go, we got our solid. But let's change this back to white, and and we do that by going Layer, Solid Settings, and let's make this white. Okay, it doesn't really matter what the color is, and I'll change that later. But for demonstration purposes, I'd rather have this white, because first what we're going to do is make our wagon. Okay, so we're going to do that by going to Layer, New, Shape Layer. Okay, so we're going to build our wagon base first, and if you see up here, we have a fill and a stroke. So we want our wagon to be kind of a red color. So let's go back on the shape layer, or let's go off the shape layer. Let's go to this fill, and let's bring this into screen and make this a red wagon. Let's make it a real bright red wagon. Okay, so we're going to come up here to the elliptical tool. If it doesn't say triangle, just hold that and you can change it there to rectangle. So we'll make something that is in the form of a wagon, and that should do it just about there. Okay, and then we're going to come down here, we're going to press enter, and we'll just type wagon, and we can click off that. Okay, that is our wagon, and every wagon needs a handle. So again, let's make a new layer, new shape layer, and let's change the fill of this to black. And let's make a bar, something like that. And let's go up here and we can rotate this. We have a rotation tool right here next to the eyeglass, except we need to be on the layer here. Like that. And if you notice this, when we're rotating it, this little sort of I don't know what we call this, but oops, let's go back over here. Target, and we can change that to right here. That's the anchor point. So let's move that and put it right up here. And what we're going to do is change this name to, we'll just call this the wagon bar. And now here's our first lesson on layering. Just like Photoshop, whatever's on top is going to be shown on the top. So basically, if we move this wagon bar underneath wagon like that, then you see our wagon comes, this falls behind right there. Now this is a little jaggery because I had that on quarter. Full would bring that back. Let's we can press R with the rotation here. This should be 0 actually. It looks like we might have moved that when we move the wagon bar. So that we also need a handle. So let's go to Layer, New, Shape Layer, and let's just make another little bar like so, and we want that to be right here. Again, I think we have to rotate that a little bit so it looks like a bar, and there we have it. And we can just change this to handle, and let's move that underneath the wagon. Because they're the same color, it doesn't really make a difference. Next big thing we want to do is make the wheels. So again, let's go up to Layer, New, Shape Layer. Now in this case, this thing keeps on expanding here. We want to go to the oval tool or the ellipse tool. So we're going to go right here to ellipse tool, and we're going to draw a circle. Now if we hold the shift key, it will keep our ellipse tool even, and then we let go. So for this case, we want the fill to be like a gray. Sort of like a whitish gray, and we can actually increase the pixel size of the stroke, and let's move this up to maybe 20 or 23, and there we have something more that looks like a wheel, and we want to place that right there in the center like that. Now we also want to put like some sort of star, so let's go in here and let's just change this to wheel 1 because we're going to have a wheel 2. And when you're clicked on here, while we're clicked in the wheel 1, let's put a little star in the center of this wheel. And before we do that, let's change the color to maybe a blue, our fill to about a blue. Oops, we didn't do that right. Let's change it to blue, hit OK. Whoops. Let's Control Z out of that. Let's draw our star first, and then we'll change it. How about that? Let's draw it right here. Let's not. Let's draw it right inside here, and we can maybe move it around afterwards. Let's change the fill color of this to to a blue. And looks like we're going to have to bring the stroke back down to 0. And let's get the selection tool and just sort of move that into the center. Okay, great. And so that we have wheel 1, and we're going to do Command or Control if you have a PC, D, and we're going to duplicate. Now we got a wheel 2, and we're just going to move that straight over here. So there's our wagon. So what we want to do is now we're going to have our first lesson on keyframing, and the first thing we want to do is we want these wheels to rotate. So the first thing I notice is that our anchor point, and we talked about that anchor point, is way up here. I don't know if you can see that. So if I just start to turn this wheel, look, it's gonna revolve around this anchor point right here. So let's bring that back to 0 here. We'll just type in 0. And let's move that anchor point by going to this pan for anchor point, and we're just going to move that right into the center like that. And let's do that for the other wheel also. So let's hit rotation, and this anchor point's a little harder to see, but it's right up on this wheel on the handle there. So we'll move this right into the center. And now when we start to rotate this thing, it's rotating somewhat more in a circle. Let's bring that back to 0. So let's begin to rotate this. Let's start with wheel 1, and the reason I got to rotation by just hitting R on the keyboard. So if we hit R, we get the rotation. So this little thing right here is how we make a keyframe. So when we hit this little clock, it makes a keyframe right here. So the next thing we want to do is move this down to the end, and this is going to tell us how many rotations that we're going to do. Let's say we're going to do 10 rotations. So now if we move this, we can see our wheel rotating. Although because our anchor point wasn't exactly in the center, it's a little wobbly. But let's leave that alone for now, because sometimes wagon wheels are a little wobbly. Let's do that for the wheel number 2 also. Hit R for rotation. Okay, we're going to create a keyframe in the beginning, and then move this to the end, and we're going to make another keyframe. It's going to be the same amount of time, otherwise our wheels will look strange. Okay, so here we have, let's see if we can do a preview here. And there we go. We got wagon wheels a-turning. It's probably a little fast, but let's leave it like that. And a little wobbly. So now if we wanted to move the whole wagon, if we get our selection tool up here, if we start to move it, well, look what happens. Everything just kind of moves. How can we bring this wagon all together so we can move this all at once if we want to move this wagon from one side to the other? We can do that by something that's called parenting. If you see this little squiggly line right here, here's our wagon base right here. And what we want to do is we want to parent our wheel number 1, our handle, and our wagon bar all to this wagon right here. Now, if you see we move this, everything moves together because we've parented this together so they're connected. So now, if we want to do a animation, we can do that. So let's bring this down to 50% here so we can see the outside of our frame. And let's move the wagon just outside the frame here, just so we can see it. And now we're going to do something. We're going to use the position keyframe. And once again, we're going to hit a keyframe right at 0, and then we're going to move our keyframe all the way to 6 seconds. Then we're going to grab our wagon, and we're going to see that it's dragging across. You can see the path right here, and we'll just drag it off there. So now what you get is a keyframe moving across the screen. And if we do a RAM preview by clicking up here, once the screen line fills, you'll see the full animation. We see a wagon going across the screen. And so we got a wagon that's moving. It isn't the best wagon, but it's a wagon. Alright, so we're going to teach a couple other quick techniques here on effects, just to sell this idea a little bit, which is we're going to go to these effects and presets, and we're going to type in ramp, which is basically a gradient. So let's go to our solid. Remember I said it didn't matter what color it is. That's because I wanted to put a gradient on this, and we're going to put a ramp gradient on this, and we just want to make this kind of like a sky. So over here is our effects controls. So we're just going to change this to a blue that makes it look like we got a blue sky going on here. Okay, and then as we move things across here, it looks like we got a blue sky. And I'm also going to put in a little town. Let's see, if we go back to our projects panel here, if we click that, that's hidden, was a little hidden there. I do have an image in here. Let's see, it's going to come up sooner or later. At least I thought I had one in there. Well, let's import an image in here that I previously put in. I thought I did. So that's just we can show how to import a file. So file, import, and I had something under here under images called townhouse. So there it is. There's the townhouse. Maybe I didn't have it in here. And let's drag that onto the comp. Let's put it right on top. Didn't exactly go. There's our townhouse. And so we want to have this we want the wagon to be going kind of down a hill. So so let's rotate this a little bit here, and we can rotate this right here by hitting R, and we can also scale this up by hitting S, and we can make it a little bigger. It's probably too much of a curve there, huh? Let's move it to maybe 9. There we go. and then we'll make our street, and we can do that the same as before. We're going to we can come up here to layer, new, shape layer, and we want to make a kind of a black street, right? So we're just going to, whoops, we had star selected, Command Z to bring that, and let's go back to our shape tool and make that a rectangle, and let's just make a rectangle right there, and let's just change this to a kind of a asphalt type of color. Hit OK, and we can get rid of the stroke there too just by hitting 0. Now again, let's change this to street first, and I don't know what this layer is here, so I'm just going to get rid of it by hitting delete. I must have made that by mistake. And again, we want if we have our wagon out here, we don't want the wagon going underneath behind the townhouses. We want to come in. Let's get our selection tool, and let's move the townhouse below the wagon, but in front of the background, which is this sky here. And also we want to move the street below the townhouse there. So we can also rotate our townhouse or our street a little bit so that it lines up with our townhouses. Oops, let's bring this back up to 50%, and let's just select that so that we're selling our idea here. I think we could make those townhouses a little bigger. Alright, so let's just go and hit scale, make that a little bit bigger. Okay, that's good. So now we gotta go back to our wagon, and let's hit P for position, and let's just delete these keyframes. Do we have? It looks like we deleted them already. Let's see. I think we did. Let's hit it by checking by RAM preview. Oh no, we still got the keyframes in there. Oh, that's because we're on wagon bar. That's why. Okay, let's stop that and go to our wagon, which is right there. Hit the position, and let's just delete these keyframes here. And let's bring our wagon up here. We also want to, if we hit Shift and R, we get the rotation. And let's change the rotation of our wagon. Let's bring it down here just so we can line it up so that it looks, so that it lines up with there we go. In fact, we could probably, it looks like the street is at 8. The townhouse rotation is at 9. We should probably all make these all the same. Let's make them all 9. That way. Okay, so let's bring this back to 0. Let's go to our wagon and select that, and let's take it a little bit before, and let's set a position keyframe and bring this to the end, and let's drag this all the way off the screen like so. And now if we hit a RAM preview, We have a wagon rolling down the hill. It's going a little off frame there, so let's change that position at the end so that it stays within the frame there. Let's see. We can look at how it's working right here. So that looks a little better. We can even make our wagon a little bit smaller by hitting the scale property and maybe even making it a little bit smaller, maybe 95%, maybe 90. Alright, so the last thing we want to do is maybe add a little sound to this, and we'll do that. All we have to do is grab our sound. Whoops, that's solid. Oh, it looks like that's why. Okay, let's import our sound file. Import file. And let's go to music. Import that. And we'll put that right at the bottom of the layer. And we export that out, and well, let's do a little RAM preview. And there we go. Thank you for watching.
Hi everybody, this is a special effect tutorial on how to clone yourself. It's actually very easy. All you need is a hat. Actually, you need a mask.